Charter boats are a great way to get into some hot fishing action. See what happens when we head out for a day on the Hauraki Gulf.
My biggest one today.
Do what works, and that's probably the key to being the most productive.
It's got that really fast tail pump.
Kirk enlists a charter boat to guide him around the Mokohinau Islands.
Look at that.
A couple of young freedivers have a trip of a lifetime in the deep south.
The boys go out their first dive, they pull big crays like this.
Heading out from Gulf Harbour about 40 minutes north of Auckland, Damo set course for a spot in the middle of the Hauraki Gulf. The fishing had been a bit patchy, so Damo's skills would be put to the test to find the fish. Hi, welcome to Fishy Business. On today's show, we're having a look at charter boats and charter boat fishing. At the moment, we're out on Diversity Charters with Damo, with a group of competitors who won a competition for a day out fishing with me through Fisherman's Friend. But what we're going to do is look at the different sorts of charters, what you can expect, and ways to improve your charter. We'll have a chat with Damo later on, but right now the action's about to start. Damo was soon coaching one of the young fellas on fish fighting techniques.
Lead him across. Here we go.
Oh, wow.
Nice fish, Henry.
Yeah.
Good way to start the day. Straight away we had rods bending all around the boat. These fish were in great condition and the average size was well over 45 centimetres. The action was non-stop, with everyone hooking up all around the boat. Grant and I were kept flat out, just netting fish and getting them off the hooks. Way to go, Luca!
I've got to say, it's nearly 4 kg.
A good tip is to have 2 rigs. Now I've got one here which you can use for bait fishing and heavy jigging, and I've got one which is more suitable for the inchikus and soft baits. So I've got 2 rigs, rig them up both ready to go. So if the bait fishing's working better, you can switch to your bait rod. If the lure fishing, you hit a work up, just drop the lure over. That will actually improve your catch rate when you're out on a charter. By mid-morning, the fish were in a frenzy, and they were getting bigger and bigger.
Wow.
Henry once again landed a quality fish.
Yes, Henry.
Oh, I just caught it on the way down, yeah.
Grant, give us some tips on how to make the most out of a charter and what to expect and all those sort of things.
Yeah, Adam, I think the most important part is communication. Talk to the charter operator, tell him what you would like to do, and he will tell you what he can produce, in reciprocation. Talk to him, find out what sort of gear you should be taking, what sort of bait, what sort of fishing you're likely to be doing, and then while you're sitting at home before you go prepared. Now, you've only got a limited time on a charter boat. Like today, we've got 8 hours. So if you were line fishing, you'd want to take up half a dozen, traces made up, ready to go. So if you get broken off or tangled as you do on these trips, you just into your tackle box, bang, and you're back fishing again.
4.5 kilos.
5 kilos.
Awesome workout. Oh, look at that.
It was definitely Henry's day. This can happen on a charter where one angler seems to have the magic touch. So this is what charter fishing is all about. You know, the fishing has not stopped since the first fish came over the side. What you've been seeing is just full on action. We can't even show you, it all would run out of tape. And every once in a while you'll hook that better fish, and Henry's on to his second better fish for the day. So this is all on. The skipper reckons it's bigger than his 10 pounder that he's already caught. So let's see what happens.
Good job, buddy.
Way to go, Henry.
Oh, yes.
This was a great fish of around 6 kilos. Definitely the biggest fish of the day. What's the best way to get the most out of a charter for someone who's thinking of coming out on diversity?
So I think the best thing for a client to do before they choose a charter or go on a charter is to figure out what they actually want to get out of their day. There's lots of different charters out there, and often the operator won't know what to expect from them or what they expect from him or her. So make up your mind what you want to do would be the key thing.
So like today, we've got a corporate charter where it's a prize thing. It's ideal. Your boat's fantastic. It's beautiful and wide. You've got heaps of ice. You've got all the equipment. And other charters don't necessarily offer the full service, and some offer the extreme service. So you've got to pick the right sort of charter for the sort of work you're doing. Is that what you're saying?
You know, if you're paying a small amount to go and park under the Auckland Harbour Bridge for the day, then you're not going to expect a great deal. But if you are paying, you know, a reasonable amount of coin for your day out, then you do expect some service and you do expect some quality for your day.
A tally was kept on the fish caught to make sure we stay well within the legal limits.
Adam sent me a challenge to catch him 3 fish for dinner, and I did it. This is the best one.
Well, Bev, one of the lady anglers on the boat, is proving why lady anglers always do well on charters.
There he is.
Oh,
Just to prove
wow.
Fat harricky gold.
that's 2 in a row, isn't it, Bev? Just
Yeah,
to prove the
2 in a
first one
row.
wasn't a fluke. So Damo, really interesting. We're fishing a combination of baits and lures off the boat, which, you know, some people go, oh, I only lure fish or only bait fish, but hey, you can do both when you're doing this sort of fishing.
Yeah, sure can, Adam, and one of the great things about mixing it up like that and changing colours of jigs and then using bait as well is you can find out what the fish are actually doing and what they actually prefer, and then you can all switch to it, and everyone's a lot more productive.
We had a great day out on diversity, and Damo had looked after us really well. I'm sure that we all took something other than fish away with us from the experience. It was a pleasure to see everyone enjoying themselves, and I'm sure this trip won't be forgotten. Next up, Kirk heads offshore on the Wave Runner to team up with a charter boat to fish a hotspot.
I'm heading out this morning to the Mokahinau Islands. I'm going to throw some soft baits around in the wash, see if we can't pull some nice snapper out. The Mokahinau Islands are a little group of islands about 50 kilometres due east of Mangawai. I've launched out of Wangatiao Harbour, just near Omaha. That's where I stayed overnight. Conditions are beautiful this morning, less than 10 knots. Forecast to stay that way the whole day. The sun's just coming up, so let's get going.
I'm out here today with Tony Orton, Offshore Adventures.
Tony's based in Mangawai and fishes the Mokes and those grounds around there. So I'm out there on a charter with him today. I've never fished this area before, so it's really good to do a charter to get to know an area, which is what I like to do, get to know this area. Tony will put me onto some spots, I'm sure, and we'll get into some nice fish.
I started by casting some soft baits into the shallows of Fennel Island. Using a 1/4 ounce jig head to keep the bait as natural as possible, it didn't take long before I got an inquiry and I was into the first snapper of the day.
Oh. This is a nice one. Pulled him out of the wash. Got a nice bit of boogie. Nice early morning snapper.
Fishing in shallow water with light tackle is awesome fun. The fish fight hard and you don't need a huge fish for a good fight. I'd pulled this one out of the shadows and I now had to keep the rod bent and the line tight to keep him out of the weed.
He's in the net. Nice one.
Kirky on there?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, we've got lots of trevally and carway schools off the point here, eh? So off right on the point might be worth a crack as well, just down where we are.
With the snapper box ticked for now, I headed over to some large schools of fish that were boiling on the surface. And within a couple of casts, I was hooked up.
Carway are such awesome sport fish, really underrated. On light tackle, they really fight hard. Pound for pound, as good as any other fish. He's a beast. Here he comes. He's a monster. Oh, yeah. Big carway. Look at that. Look at the size of that. Close to 3 kilos, that carway.
With the carway under my belt, I tried jigging for kingfish. Again, the hookup came quickly, and although I didn't want a barracuda, the sharks obviously did. I decided to switch back to soft baits to try for another species.
Here we go. It's got that really fast tail pump. Tail beat feels like a trevally. Here he comes. A nice trevally, look at that. We'll let him go.
We're going to have a look around here and then push off shore a little bit more, eh? So
The kingfish aren't biting, but there's a lot of sign, particularly on the bottom. So what I've done is I've got out this 80-gram Daiwa Pirate. I'm going to drop that down to the bottom, see what's lurking down there. You never know what's lurking in these depths, and I love fishing these depths because you can catch anything. Here we go, at the bottom. Let's give it a little bit of a lift. What I'm simulating is a wounded baitfish. It's just fluttered down, it's hit the bottom, bit of a puff of dust, and I just give it a little bit of a lift and then a bit of a wind. And what that's doing, oh yep, there we go, that worked. Oh, it's right on the bottom. Not sure what it is. There's a bit of weight there. When you're fishing these depths, could be absolutely anything. Could be a big snapper. I'm in 80 metres. There's a heap of sign. I was fishing right on the bottom. Could just be a cuda. Doesn't feel like a kingy. That's what I love about it. Oh, and it's a big snapper. It's a nice snapper. And that is a beauty. What a beautiful snapper. Look at that. That is a magnificent fish. A beautiful 15-pound snapper. I'm not going to release him because he's come up from 80 metres. His chances of survival are a little bit slim. He was a bit blowing and there's a shark around, so I'm not going to just drop him back over the side to feed a shark. We'll put him on the icy tech. We'll smoke him up when we get home.
Coming up, an epic adventure for some young freedivers who head to the deep south and do battle with some massive crays.
That was good.
Good ride. You see any deer?
We will be diving and hunting Chalky Inlet, the second to last fjord at the bottom of the southwest corner of the South Island. This is one of the most remote places in New Zealand. Ten-year-old Sam and 13-year-old Flynn Story, their dad Jeff, along with several other keen divers, are joining me for a week on the Takapū, along with owner and skipper Mark Aka Ballbag, a man with endless experience and capabilities in this dangerous and rugged part of New Zealand. Our first dive was something even the most experienced divers would be stunned to be part of. Crays sitting all over the bottom, a sight which is not uncommon in Fiordland. One rule on the Takapū trips is no female crays. We leave these to breed. We take what we can eat aboard and take a few home at the end of the week. Now remember, we only snorkel or freedive, no scuba. These boys with their dad are about to show you what a couple of very competent kids can do with the right guidance. Now these boys have never caught crays before, so a little bit of trial and error is the best way to learn. Their small hands are not as strong as the big crays, but technique will help. One of the locals is out hunting crays today as well. Flynn's into it again. This cray's jammed itself in a hole and will take a little bit of pulling out, but he's got to hang on to those horns really hard. As you can see, if you don't, they get away. Sam, his little brother, goes down to have a go himself, but he's holding back. He needs to get in and grab that cray really quickly. He seems to have a decent grip. Dad Jeff soon shows up with a big scoop net to help the boys out. Sam's onto a big cray. In around 7 metres of water, it's a very deep dive for someone so young. This is when you never take your eyes off the kids. Shallow water blackout, which happens from holding your breath for too long, is a very real risk. Sam tucks the cray tail under like I taught him, which takes away the propulsion, making it easier to hold on to. The problem now, the cray has him. Its big fighting claws could really do some damage. I've got to intervene from behind the camera before it's too late. Teamwork helped Sam secure it for good. It went just over 3 kgs, a monster in anyone's book. There's big crays everywhere you turn. You can't hesitate like this. You have to get in and nail it. Again, it's all learning, and there's no shortage for these boys to learn from. These crays are showing very little fear. I've fitted the boys out with the right wetty gear. It keeps them warm, the fins are perfect for their age and ability, and their masks fit perfectly, they don't leak. Dad tidies up with the scoop net again. It's great to watch these guys in action. Quality time like this with your kids is one of the best things you could ever do. This big conger eel's on the prowl. I think he can see his reflection in the camera lens. Note all his battle scars. Flynn's on to another. He's got hold of this one, hopefully it's not going to get away. All our activities have attracted the other inhabitants around. Teriki and blue cod, as well as pawas, are something else we'll hunt during our trip. 7-gill sharks are known to attack man. They look harmless but are opportune feeders. A quick nip on someone's leg and our trip could be a disaster. The boys, being the smallest, could be targeted, so we never let them get out of our sight. I constantly scan around while they hunt. Flynn's mastered it. Catch it, curl up its tail, it's never going to go anywhere. It just gets better. Check out this gathering. A couple of big males courting a group of females. Sam's taken his time again. He needs to get in and grab this, but a team effort with Sam and Jeff sees this good buck secured. And look how shallow. It's only around about 5 metres deep here.
Yeah, that was the male.
We've had a great start to the trip. Time for some food back at the Takapū.
So the boys have flown in a helicopter for the first time today, and they've gone out to dive to see if they can catch a cray, a big cray for the first time. Ooh. And now Sam's getting eaten by one. So, what do you think, boys? How's your first day on Takapū charters gone? How do you think?
Well, it's pretty awesome. We saw lots of big blue cod and lots of crayfish.
And then the boys go out on their first dive, they pull big crays like this.
Fishy Business is proud to support Legacy.